LA Aviators playing against the San Diego Growlers in San Diego tonight, AUDL.TV. This is how you should prepare to watch the game. Grilling up some weenies and sausages because Aviators are gonna dominate. Let's talk about the most popular sport in the world, football, or soccer here in the US. It's not really my favorite sport in the world, but it can be fun to watch from time to time. The thing I think needs to be changed is the rule of the clock. Soccer is broken down between two 45-minute halves for a total time of 90 minutes and 15 minutes between the halves. It's up to the refs to determine how long you need to add at the end of the halves because of stoppages of play, but the clock runs the entire time of the game. This is annoying because you're seeing, hey, we're getting up to that 90-minute period, the game's going to be over, but no. How long is the game going to be? Is it going to be an hour and a half, 5 hours? I don't know. Who does? The refs know. I think this is something that can be changed. You have a designated timekeeper. They have the assistant that helps adjust the time clock and figure out how much time needs to be added on. This is something that should be changed where you have somebody that does the stoppages after points are scored or during timeouts, or if there is a stoppage of play, somebody automatically handles that. You ever wonder why you're getting tired drinking a cup of coffee? Don't put sugar in it. The sugar and caffeine will counteract each other. It's something it took me years to figure out why I was getting tired after drinking coffee. If you want to have a better chance of being energized by coffee, try taking coffee naps. What is a coffee nap? When you drink coffee, then you take a 20 to 30 minute nap and you're going to wake up with a buttload of energy. So why do you get tired during the course of the day? You have adenosine in your body and it builds up in the receptors of your brain. Adenosine is what makes you tired over the course of a day. When you take a nap, that adenosine clears out and you can function a little bit better, but quickly starts filling back in. With the coffee nap, the caffeine will fill in those receptors instead of the adenosine, and then when you wake up, that adenosine can't get into the receptors, so you get the best benefits of caffeine and the nap combined. It takes the perfect amount of time for that caffeine to start functioning in your body. If you need some energy boost during the day, especially at that 3:30 p.m. slump, try doing a coffee nap. Did The Simpsons predict the Titanic sub issue that we're having today? Back in 2006, The Simpsons had an episode where Homer got stuck in a sub in the ocean and his oxygen was depleting. On August 5th, 2005, the AS-28 from Russia was tangled in fishing line and sinking to the bottom of the ocean, and their oxygen levels were depleting. This happened the year prior to the release of that Simpsons episode. So did The Simpsons actually predict events from 17 years in the future? No, they didn't. And have they actually ever predicted anything? No, I would say not. Everything is coincidental. For example, people thought The Simpsons predicted the 2009 video of OK Go's group running on the treadmills. Well, in fact, that video was actually released several years earlier, back in 2006. If you're looking to get an action camera, the GoPro Hero 7 Black might be the one for you. It comes sealed to be water resistant straight from the box, so you don't have to buy one of these, but I would recommend it if you're going to the beach to keep the sand out of all the little nooks and crannies. The battery is removable, along with the SD card, which you can fit up to 512 gigs of storage space in there, so you have plenty of room for all your video. Touchscreen on the back, so it's nice and easy to go through the menu. 12 megapixel sensor, along with a display on the front that'll tell you what you're doing as far as photo, video, or settings. 4K up to 60 frames a second, 2.7K or 1440 at up to 120 frames a second, or 1080 up to 240 frames per second. Hyper smooth means your shots will be hyper stable, and my favorite feature, you can remove this panel and you have a built-in HDMI out, so you don't have to buy an accessory to plug into HDMI. This is my favorite GoPro. GoPro Hero 7 Black is cheap on eBay but expensive on Amazon, more so than the new models. Welch's Fruit Snack should be a staple of your ultimate pickup game experience. They're simple packs. You can get a box of 90 at Costco for pretty cheap, and these guys come packed with fruit snacks. I mean, watch this. Open it up, and see, plenty of fruit snacks. I've had this one for over a year, and I know that this is not fully loaded. This has hardly any in it. I mean, watch this, just so you can see. Two. There's only 2. I love these, but this one only had 2 in the pouch. We're gonna go fast, and we're gonna do that drifting, all right? Let's do this. Let me show you how a little piece of audio equipment is going to save me some money temporarily. I came to my car this morning and this happened. Tried to shift it and it wouldn't go. I've checked all my fuses, they're fine, so I think that it's the shifter, because if you push this down, it will allow you to shift. Down, push it, you can shift. So you put this headphone jack to 1/4 inch. It's going to rest on this and force this down so I can shift. Secured with some duct tape. Just note, this little light is a pain to get back in. And now with it in, boom. Put your shifter on after you put your sound console back together, and don't forget to screw it in. It's very important. And with the front part on, you can shift to your content without using the brake. Just don't forget the screwdriver. I love soda. I've loved soda since I was a kid. And Pepsi and Coke, I've never figured out which one I like more. I also like stuff that's nitro brewed and nitro infused, like the nitro brew from Starbucks. I saw an Instagram story recently about something that I just bought and I'm going to try. Now this isn't just any Pepsi product, it's Pepsi Nitro, infused with nitrogen. Let's see if it's as smooth as they claim. This might be my new favorite soda. Oh, smaller bubbles, smoother taste. They're not lying. This, wow. I've never had a Pepsi as smooth as this. It's not flat. It's interesting. It's like having a regular soda without all the extra little bubbles. I'd encourage you to go out, try one, and get your own opinion on this. It's not one to pass up. Do you want to see the simplest prank in the world? I get home one night, I'm walking up to the front door, look down on the ground, and I see this. It's a rock on the ground that says, "Turn me over." And when you pick it up and read the back, you just obeyed a rock. I have to thank my son for that. That is hilarious. I walked up not expecting it. He's like, "You fell for the rock?" I said, "Yeah, I fell for the rock." So we're leaving this on our walkway to our house from now on. At least I'm going to do that. The 8 remaining teams in the American Ultimate Disc League are gunning for the 4 spots in championship weekends, which happens in 2 weeks. Today is the 4 divisional championship games, and I'm going to list those games out from the least upsetting to what would be the most upsetting win. First off, Austin has a good shot against Atlanta. They only lost to them by 4 points in their 1 meeting of the season. Next up, if Indianapolis was to beat Minnesota, Minnesota beat Indianapolis in both games of their season with a total of 7 points differential between them. The second most upsetting game would be if DC was to defeat New York. New York is undefeated and they beat DC both times with a total of 4-point differential. And the biggest upset this weekend would be if LA was to defeat the Salt Lake Shred. Salt Lake beat LA twice this season with a point differential of 14, and they would actually be undefeated if they didn't lose to New York. I saw people doing this with Siri, so we're going to use it with Bixby. Hey Bixby, Lumos. It works! It works! It works! You know what my team problem was? I didn't wear the white jersey while watching the away game. That's why we lost. That's exactly why we lost. I came across this photo of a Doritos bag, and it got me thinking, what's the difference between a Chargers fan, which I am, and a Cowboys fan? You see, the Cowboys fan always thinks that this year is their year, and as everybody else knows, no, it's not your year. As every other team knows, yeah, the Cowboys aren't going to make it to the Super Bowl. As a Chargers fan, we are just happy with whatever wins we get. We pray if we don't make it to the postseason, we suck. That way we get a better draft pick. But as all Chargers fans know, Super Bowl, very hopeful, but if we make it into the playoffs, we're going to choke. I don't know about you, but my wife doesn't watch hockey. She doesn't play hockey. She's not into hockey, but somehow she's ended up with not one, but 2 Stanley Cups. If you ever want to know your wife's opinion about you, just put a frisbee on your head and say, does this make my head look flat? Does this make me a flat head? No. Maybe an airhead? Oh. And of course, right at the end of filming that, my kid threw this at my legs. It was a really close call, to be honest. Here's a pro party tip. I think my wife and I both agree that if our neighbors have a loud party, we'll just plan our party at the same time.
On a Monday night.
Party hack. Controversies and Disney's wokeness is probably going to kill their Snow White franchise. The 2024 version of Disney's Snow White is surrounded with controversies in terms of casting decision for Snow White, the 7 dwarves, which only one of them is a dwarf, and one of them is going to be female when historically they've all been male. And the plot. They're moving the plot away from the damsel in distress princess getting saved by a prince to a more nitty-gritty modern feminist version where the princess doesn't need a prince and she's going to become the leader she knows that she can be. We already got a nitty-gritty reboot from Universal Pictures in 2012, Snow White and the Huntsman, where she actually became the leader she knew that she could be. Now, if Disney wanted to make a real new IP, they should look at Joan of Arc and use the same plot or storyline they're thinking about. Joan of Arc was an amazing female leader who broke free of gender stereotypes. But Disney won't use this idea because they'll probably get burned at the stake. How much money are you spending and therefore wasting on takeout food? Before I got married, I was eating out about twice a day, every day of the week. Every once in a while, a third time, but we'll just say twice a day on average. And for that, I was spending anywhere from about $10, $15 per meal, maybe a little bit more every once in a while, maybe a little bit less. So we'll average it to maybe about $25 a day. If you calculate that out, that's an average of about $175 for a 7-day period. That would make an average of around $750 per month, or around $9,100 per year. Now, preparing food at home, bringing your own sack lunch to the office could cut that number down significantly. So if you try to do that, eat out a lot less, what would you do with all the extra money you would save? I couldn't help but to think in my video about Pepsi Nitro that I said it was not flat, but it still tastes good. So I'm just wondering, and I keep thinking, did Pepsi just figure out a way to market flat soda? So here's my second one. When you do that, it lets out a ton of bubbles. I'm taking a big swig. Carbonation is a huge part of soda. And yeah, I think Pepsi just figured out a way to market flat soda. It still tastes okay, but this being my second one, it's not my cup of tea. Good job, Pepsi, for marketing a flat soda. If you're a parent of toddlers, any kids that use a high chair, come here and listen up. This is a life hack that my wife just came up with. You're gonna love this. get your high chair and don't put the whole, cloth cover on, whatever. This is so easy to clean. This is just the plastic and the seat belt. I think my wife did an amazing job with this. Our kid is like just over a year and a half, and I don't know why we didn't think about this sooner. It's so easy to clean. Lag and glitching on video games can be hilarious to downright frustrating, where you want to break your keyboard over somebody's head. But social media creators get this constantly wrong when they're posting videos on YouTube or Instagram about lag. Most of the time what they're actually posting is glitching. There is a huge difference between lags and glitches. Let's get into it. Lag happens when you're going in a certain direction, the frame rate drops, the computer's not processing stuff fast enough, so the next thing you know, you're walking into the wall, or the person was coming towards you and they just jumped past you. Usually you're not going through a wall on a lag. Actually, you're not going through a wall on a lag. Glitching, on the other hand, is when you're going to be upside down, you're going to be going through walls, you're going to have whatever's in front of you be flipped upside down, or you're going to be upside down, or stuff disappears randomly. That is a glitch, not lag. The EU, wanting to standardize charging devices for phones and limit e-waste, has forced Apple's hands on adopting USB Type-C into their smartphones. And as cool as this could be, and as ingenious as it is, USB Type-C has been around for years on smartphones like my 2018 Galaxy Note 8. See, there's the USB Type-C port. And though the first phone that used USB Type-C came out in 2015, USB-C is actually just a smaller form of USB 3, which came out in 2008. Now the iPhone 15 Pro is going to be the only model that gets the USB 3 speeds. Every other model is going to get USB 2 speeds. USB 2 came out in the year 2000, and it's like a tenth of the speed of USB 3. So though now you can use USB Type-C connectors on iPhones, it's really a loss for consumers unless all iPhone models gets it. So I'm in Walmart just grabbing a couple things, and they do have the Halloween display up, but check this out. We're not even up to Halloween. Halloween's still a month away, and they've got Christmas stuff in here already. Aisles and aisles full of Christmas stuff. I would like to take a page out of that meme I saw several years back where it's the turkey pointing at Santa and he's like, "Wait your turn, fatso." Come on, can't we just celebrate Halloween and then Thanksgiving and then get to Christmas like near the end of November? I'm sure employees in retail everywhere do not want to be listening to Christmas music for the next 2 months. But hey, at least they're stocked on Halloween stuff. Never did I ever think I'd see the day Lego is actually locked up at Walmart. Never did I ever think I'd see the day when Lego is locked up inside of any store. That's how bad things are getting. When you have policies and you elect officials who are going to push policies that encourage people to steal and to shoplift and loot without any recourse or punishment, you're going to get stuff like that where stores either lock stuff up or they're just going to leave towns altogether, like what Walmart and Target and other stores are doing in a variety of places around the US. Hi, I'd like to get my graphics card checked out. The computer, I think it's bad, but the computer's just not seeing it. Okay, and where's the rest of your computer? I just didn't think it was necessary that you need to see the full computer because I think it's just the graphics card that failed. But could you just check it out? Sure, we'll check it out, but you're probably going to need to bring in the full system. A few moments later. Hey, your graphics card's actually working, so you're going to need to bring in the rest of your computer. Thanks, but I don't really want to bring in my computer, so I don't know what I'm going to do. MSI's Aegis desktop computers are pretty decent, and I just have to give them props for the packaging. Not because when you open it up, you get the keyboard, the mouse, and some cables, but because of what they put the computer in. Velcro. This one comes with an Intel 13th Gen Core i7 processor, RTX 4060 Ti, and of all places, you can actually get it at Costco. And the thing I love, they put air cooling in here because you should know how I feel about liquid cooling. No risk of corrosion with air cooling or the pump going bad. If you saw my story the other day about the customer only bringing in a video card to get tested, well, they actually brought the entire desktop in for us to check out. It actually turned out that the power supply was the culprit, not getting power to the graphics card. If your computer has problems, your desktop, your laptop, bring in the entire thing. Don't just take out the hard drive or the graphics card or the PSU or just the component. Bring the entire thing in so everything can be tested, and this is why this is important. I can't tell you how many computers we had where it was the power supply that was causing the computer to make it look like the motherboard was failed. When you see a light, there's just enough power for that light to go in, and that's why I'm not a big fan of just taking these cables and trying to short them out, because all that tells you is there's power flowing through here, but doesn't mean that this is bad. Bringing in the entire computer allows us to swap out parts to check and verify what's actually wrong. Lance here with two broken MacBook Pros, both of them from pretty much the same year. This one has a touch bar, this one does not. They're practically the same system except for one issue. This one does not have a removable storage device, and this one's removable storage device would be right here. You can't even get an adapter to read the proprietary setup right here. So if you have a MacBook newer than these models, some of the newest MacBooks out there, this was the last one that had a removable solid-state drive. If your MacBook fails, unfortunately, the only people that have a possibility of getting data off of them is Apple. Data Recovery Labs can try, but Apple's proprietary setup makes it near impossible for your failed MacBook to have data recovered from it. This is just a reminder that your laptop, your MacBook, your Dell laptop, your computer, any of your cell phone devices, whatever you have, this is just a reminder that they work fine on their own. Alright, you got that? They don't need water, they don't need to stay hydrated, they especially don't need soda. The caffeine or sugar is not going to make them run any faster. Definitely don't need beer. And they definitely don't need Hawaiian Punch, because that sugar won't make it run any faster.